In the news lately, they've been talking about shipping and the bottleneck in shipping, and various simple-minded solutions have been proposed. The problem is very complex, and it might be helpful if the public in general knew a little bit more about shipping and some of the complexities involved. We're going to attempt to do that today. There are over 5,000, around 5,400 container ships in the world's fleets today. The map you see here is not just container ships, it's cargo ships. Every cargo ship in the world that is at sea or at anchor that has its transponder turned on. The reasons why a ship would not appear on this map, the transponder being turned off, that's an interesting story too, but we'll get to that some other time. You can see from the complexity of this map, and by the way, you don't see all the ships on here. In some places, the ships are so crowded together, say around the port of Long Beach or port of LA right now, where 100 ships appear as a single icon. So it's really complex. The granularity of the map is not up to the task of displaying everything. We would need a wall display 20 feet by 40 feet to begin to display what's actually there. This is what the map looks like when you add the oil tankers to the mix. And once again, there are far more oil tankers than actually show on this display. Now this map has edited out passenger vessels, high-speed vessels, pleasure craft, and of course the military of the world simply don't allow their ships to show up on maps. It wouldn't be that great a deal if somebody could just figure out where every ship is by calling it up on a Google search. Pictured here is one of the largest, if not the largest, container ship in the world today. It's capable of carrying almost 20,000 TEUs. It's a monster, and you're probably wondering what in the world a TEU is. I'm glad you asked. A TEU is a 20-foot equivalent unit. It's the standard metric by which a container ship's cargo capacity or a port's capacity for handling that cargo is measured. And that's a 20-foot cargo container right there. Okay, that covers a couple of simple things. You've seen the map. You've seen how incredibly complicated it is when you look at it on a global scale. You've seen how big the ships are and how much stuff they can carry. Now, the average container ship worldwide isn't as big as that monster I showed you. If you divide the total number of cargo ships, container ships in the world by the capacities, you actually come out with an average ship being 4,000 some, less than 5,000 TEUs. But the ships in the Pacific trade, which is where our big problem lies, tend to be on the larger side. So I would actually just add a guess, say that you're talking about ships with a 10,000 TEU capacity, a ship that draws 30 feet of water, and so the large ports can handle them. But which ports can handle what and how many of those ports are available? That's an interesting question. Why don't we take a look at some ports in the United States and see what we've got? What you're looking at is a portion of the Port of Los Angeles. The Port of Los Angeles is absolutely huge. It covers over 147 square miles. The waterfront is 43 miles long. In fiscal 2020, the Port of Los Angeles handled just under 10.9 million TEUs. It's big, folks. It's the #1 port in the United States by far. And then we have the Port of Long Beach. Long Beach is to the Port of LA what Milwaukee is to Chicago, always coming up second best. Long Beach, fiscal year 2021, admittedly a year when there was a heck of a pandemic thing going on, or so I'm told, they handled 7.6 million TEUs. That's pretty impressive. What's interesting is that this year they're on track to surpass 9 million. So it's not like they aren't trying. And then there's the Port of Miami, 14th largest in the United States, which in the year 2020 fiscal year handled 1.12 million TEUs. Not small by any standard, but compared to the about 20 million handled by LA and Long Beach, it's not very much. Okay, we're not going to keep showing pictures of ports. It'll get to be droning on too much. The port that is next in line below number 14, Port of Miami, is Port of the Everglades. So ports 14 and 15 in size in the U.S. are located in Florida. Miami's claim to fame, of course, is the cruise ship business, as some of you lucky devils with more money than you should have know. Everglades is more of a cargo port, obviously. The thing you have to remember, once again, is that the number of TEUs handled isn't just stuff coming in, it's also stuff going out. And the numbers are quite illustrative. For instance, Los Angeles in September handled 903,000, nearly a million TEUs, just this last September. 468,000 of those were coming in. So half coming in, half going out. So you automatically, with most ports, have to calculate that only 50% of that number is imports. Los Angeles is making a number of moves to increase the throughput. They are instituting a per container fee starting, I think, in November 15th, if I recall, of, I guess, $200 per container per day if they're on the dock more than 9 days. So this puts the impetus on the shippers to move them. Of course, that also means that you, the consumer, when the stuff gets there, if the shipper had to pay more for fees to the Port of LA, they're not absorbing that cost. You are. Also, there's another thing that gets neglected in this discussion when they're talking about trucks and shipping is rail shipment. The Port of LA ships about 26% of all cargo by rail. 35% of the intermodal traffic, the stuff that comes in with the intention of going out in containers, goes out by rail. And that system operates 24/7 already. Always has. As a matter of fact, they have spent something like $2.4 billion back in 2002 to create something called the Alameda Corridor. It's a below-grade, dedicated rail service that takes you from the port to the hub where they join up with the transcontinental railroads. It's operated jointly by BNSF and the Union Pacific, and they run 150 trains a day through there. I don't know how much more capacity they can go with. There's a limit to how many cars they have that can carry containers, and stuff has to come back also. So yeah, they can ramp up, certainly. I mean, Los Angeles is up just a massive, massive number this year over last year. They're going to set all-time records this year, going away by millions. Long Beach will as well. If you come through the Panama Canal, it takes a few days to get there, and you have to pay a fee for that ship to go through the Panama Canal, and it's not really cheap, and that adds to the shipping costs. It takes more time. The closest American port to the Panama Canal is not Galveston. I was mistaken. It is actually Port of Miami. And they can doubtless increase the number of ships that they can take in, but I would be shocked if they could up their numbers by more than a couple 100,000 a year. Okay, right now, there's something interesting you might want to know about. This screenshot was taken off of the coast outside of Los Angeles / in Long Beach. There's 85, maybe 87 cargo ships waiting. This is an improvement from a couple of weeks ago when there was north of 100 waiting to get in. That represents something north of 650,000 TEUs, which means that if no more ships joined this crew, that the twin ports could probably unload all of these in 3 weeks or a month. Now, if you sent the excess number, say 25 of these ships through the Panama Canal to Miami, they might very well be able to get those ships unloaded sometime this year. We've already gone over 10 minutes, so I'm going to bring this to a close. I try to keep my videos to right around the 10-minute mark so they're watchable. We're going to definitely have to continue on in a part 2 about worldwide shipping, but for now I think we've imparted just enough of a picture of what goes on so that you can understand that the simplistic answers that are being presented by politicians on the left and pundits on the right overlook the complexities. So stick with us. If this was an interesting video, please like and share, and we'll come up with part 2 just as soon as I can figure out what's going on.